Welcome to this deep dive, where we try and make complex info, well, a bit clearer.
That's good.
Today, we're really zeroing in on something that's top of mind for a lot of people. The U.S. Department of State's Visa Bulletins. Specifically, we're putting the May and June 2025 editions side by side.
Yeah, doing a direct comparison.
Exactly. You know, think of these bulletins as the monthly signposts for immigrant visa availability. They tell applicants when it's time to get that crucial paperwork submitted.
Right, the green light, so to speak.
So our mission today is to really dissect the key changes, look for any patterns emerging between May and June. We'll cover family-sponsored, employment-based, and the diversity visa categories.
And just for context, the May Bulletin used demand data up to April 3rd.
Right, and the June one we're looking at now, that's based on data through May 2nd. So pretty current snapshots.
Absolutely. And for anyone, waiting on an immigration petition, these aren't just numbers. They represent real timelines, real potential movement. So we'll compare the final action dates, basically, when a visa can actually be issued.
And also the dates for filing.
Exactly. When you can get your initial green card application in, we'll look across the categories and countries to see exactly what shifted from May to June.
Okay, let's dive right into the family-sponsored side then. Starting with final action dates. F1, that's unmarried sons and daughters of U.S. citizens. What changed there?
Well, here we saw some definite forward movement, which is good news for many.
Oh, okay.
For what they call all chargeability areas, and also for folks born in China, mainland, and India, the date actually jumped forward. It went from March 15th, 2016 in May to June 8th, 2016 in the June Bulletin. Quite a jump.
Nearly 3 months. So if your date is before June 8th, 2016 in those areas.
You might be getting close to the final stages. But it wasn't universal. For F1 applicants from Mexico and the Philippines, those dates didn't budge. Still 22 APR05 for Mexico and 15 JUL12 for the Philippines.
Okay, so progress, but selective. Now, F2A spouses and children of permanent residents. This one has specific rules, right?
It does, yeah. F2A is interesting because, except for Mexico, a lot of these visas aren't subject to the per-country limits.
Ah, right.
And looking at May versus June, no change at all in the final action date here. All chargeability, China, India, Philippines, all still sitting at January 1st, 2022.
And Mexico.
Mexico also held steady at May 15th, 2021. And remember, all those F2A visas for Mexico are exempt from the country cap.
Okay.
That condition about authorizing numbers for dates between May 2021 and Jan 2022 for other countries, that also stayed the same. So really stable for F2A.
Stability is the word then. All right, moving to F2B. This is unmarried sons and daughters 21 or older of permanent residents. Any shifts here?
Yes, similar trend to F1 actually. For all chargeability, China mainland and India, we saw a nice advancement.
Good. How much?
Moved from July 22nd, 2016 up to September 22nd, 2016. 2 months forward. But again, Mexico and the Philippines in F2B saw no movement. Still January 1st, 2006 for Mexico and February 8th, 2012 for the Philippines.
So again, some people see progress, others are still waiting in F2B. Let's check F3, married sons and daughters of U.S. citizens. What happened there?
F3 follows the pattern. Positive movement for all chargeability, China and India. The date moved from April 1st, 2011 to June 22nd, 2011, another jump forward.
Okay.
But you guessed it, Mexico and the Philippines, no change. Mexico remains January 15th, 2001, and the Philippines, September 22nd, 2003.
Yeah, it really seems like Mexico and the Philippines are consistently seeing less movement in these family categories, at least for final action dates.
It certainly looks that way based on this May to June comparison.
Okay, last one for family, final action dates. F4, brothers and sisters of adult U.S. citizens.
This one's simple. Absolutely no change. Across the board.
None at all.
Nope. All chargeability areas, China, India, Mexico, Philippines, all the dates listed stayed exactly the same from May to June.
Wow. January 1st, 2008 for most. June 15th, 2006 for India.
March 15th, 2001 for Mexico. June 1st, 2005 for the Philippines. All static.
That lack of movement really suggests a significant backlog there, doesn't it?
It certainly points to very high demand relative to the available visas in F4.
Okay, so summing up family final action dates. F1, F2B, F3 saw some good progress for most areas, but not Mexico or the Philippines. F2A held steady, F4 saw zero movement.
That's a good summary.
Now let's flip to the dates for filing for these same family categories. Did we see similar patterns for when people can start their paperwork?
Mostly no, actually. For F1, F2A, F2B, and F3, the dates for filing didn't change at all between May and June.
Really? So no movement there for anyone?
Correct. For all listed areas in those 4 categories, the date you could start filing remained exactly the same. So even if the final action date moved forward, the trigger date for filing hasn't shifted for them this month.
Interesting. What about F4 dates for filing? We just said their final action dates didn't move. Any change on the filing side?
Here, we actually did see one small change, just one.
Okay.
For folks born in China mainland under F4, the date for filing advanced slightly. It went from October 1st, 2006 in May to December 1st, 2006 in June.
So a couple of months forward just for them, just for filing.
Exactly. A small but potentially helpful step for those specific applicants to get started. But for everyone else in F4, the dates for filing stayed put.
Okay, that's a key detail. And like always, we have to remind everyone, check the USCIS website. You need to see if they're actually allowing you to use these dates for filing for your adjustment of status application. That's crucial.
Absolutely critical. Don't just rely on the bulletin. Check USCIS guidance too.
All right, let's pivot to the employment-based side now. Again, starting with final action dates. EB1 priority workers. What's the story here?
EB1 is a bit of a mixed picture this time around.
Okay.
For all chargeability areas, Mexico and the Philippines, it's still current, meaning visas are immediately available, no backlog wait time on the final action date.
Good for them. India.
India also saw no change. Still February 15th, 2022.
I sense a but.
Yes. The important thing here is a slight retrogression for China mainland-born applicants in EB1.
Retrogression, so it went backwards.
Just a tiny bit. From November 8th, 2022 back to November 1st, 2022. Only a week, but still backwards movement.
So if your date was between November 1st and November 8th, 2022, you were current, but now you're not.
Exactly. You'll face a temporary delay until the date moves forward again. It suggests maybe a temporary bump in demand or processing from China in that category.
Definitely something for those affected to watch closely. Okay, EB2. Advanced degrees, exceptional ability folks.
EB2 saw mostly good news. For all chargeability areas, Mexico and the Philippines, the final action date jumped forward quite nicely.
Oh my.
From June 22nd, 2023, all the way up to October 15th, 2023.
Wow, that's almost 4 months.
Yeah, significant progress there. China mainland born also saw a little bump from October 1st, 2020 to December 1st, 2020. So 2 months forward for them.
Okay, and India in EB2.
Unfortunately, no change for India. Still stuck at January 1st, 2013. That backlog remains really substantial.
Yeah, that date hasn't moved much for a long time. Okay, EB3. Skilled workers, professionals, other workers.
Similar pattern to EB2, mostly positive. All chargeability, Mexico, Philippines, advanced from January 1st, 2023 to February 8th, 2023.
About 6 weeks forward.
Right. China mainland born also nudged forward slightly from November 1st, 2020 to November 22nd, 2020. Just about 3 weeks.
And India in EB3.
Same story as EB2, no change. Holding at April 15th, 2013.
Okay, now within EB3, there's that important subcategory, other workers. What happened there? This is often different.
It is, and this is a really crucial distinction this month. While the main EB3 saw progress, the EB3 other workers subcategory actually went backwards for most.
Retrogression here too. For whom?
Yes, for all chargeability areas, Mexico and the Philippines. The date moved back from May 22nd, 2021 to June 22nd, 2021. So a 1-month retrogression.
Huh. So if your date was between those two, you might have been current, but now you face a wait again.
Precisely. For China mainland born and India in this subcategory though, their dates didn't change. China is still April 1st, 2017, and India is April 15th, 2013.
And you mentioned NACARA.
Yeah, just a reminder that the Nicaraguan and Central American Relief Act can impact visa numbers, specifically in this other workers category. This retrogression suggests maybe higher demand or some processing factors, specifically hitting this group.
Okay, that backward step in EB3, other workers, is a key takeaway. A negative one for many. What about EB4? Special immigrants, religious workers.
EB4, including the religious workers part, remained unauthorized, listed as U. Same in May, same in June.
So still no visas being authorized for issuance there.
Correct. It's effectively on hold.
Critical info for anyone in them. Okay, last one for employment, final action dates. EB5, the investment category.
Right, EB5, it's kind of split. For the unreserved part, the main pool, it's still current. For all chargeability, Mexico and the Philippines.
Okay, China and India.
They remained unchanged. China mainland born is still January 22nd, 2014. India is still May 1st, 2019.
But you mentioned concerns for India.
Yeah, it's important to keep highlighting that for EB5 unreserved, India faces ongoing risks of future retrogression simply because demand has been so high. That May 2019 date might not hold forever.
Gotcha. What about the EB5 set-asides? Rural, high unemployment, infrastructure.
No, that's the positive side of EB5. All three of those set-aside categories, rural, high unemployment, infrastructure, remained current for everyone.
Still current across the board.
Yes, both in May and June. It suggests the policy trying to direct investment into those specific areas might be working, as they aren't backlogged yet.
Okay, so the set-asides seem like a much faster track if you qualify for one of those investment types.
Definitely seems that way based on the current bulletin.
All right, let's quickly run through the dates for filing on the employment side. Any big shifts there between May and June?
Let's see, EB1 dates for filing. No changes at all.
Okay, EB2.
EB2 saw some forward movement. All chargeability, Mexico, Philippines, advanced from August 1st, 2023 to November 15th, 2023.
Nice jump there, too.
Yeah. China mainland, born nudged forward to January 1st, 2021. And India moved up slightly to February 1st, 2013.
Okay, EB3 dates for filing.
Also some modest progress. All chargeability, Mexico, Philippines, moved up to March 1st, 2023. China advanced a bit to December 22nd, 2020. India moved forward to June 8th, 2013.
And the EB3 other workers' dates for filing, did they retrogress like the final action dates?
No, actually. They moved slightly forward. All chargeability, Mexico, Philippines advanced to July 22nd, 2021. China and India stayed the same, though.
Okay, interesting difference there. EB4 dates for filing.
No change. Still reflects the unauthorized status.
And EB5, unreserved and set-asides for filing.
EB5 unreserved dates for filing remained unchanged, and the EB5 set-aside stayed current for filing, too.
Right, and again, that big reminder.
Check USCIS. Always check their website to see if you can actually use these dates for filing for your adjustment of status. It's not automatic.
Crucial step. Thanks for that detailed breakdown. Let's move to the diversity immigrant category, the DV lottery. Different system here. Regional cutoffs. What changed from May to June?
That's right. It's all about regional numbers.
Right.
And we saw some pretty significant increases in those cutoffs between May and June, which is generally good news for lottery selectees.
Okay, like where?
Africa saw a big jump from 35,000 in May up to 42,500 for June.
Wow.
Yeah, and within Africa, Algeria went from 34,500 to 42,250. Egypt from 32,500 to 36,250. Morocco stayed the same, though, at 30,000.
Okay. What about Asia?
Asia also saw a good increase from 6,500 up to 8,250. Specifically, Iran and Nepal both went from 6,450 up to 8,000.
Europe.
Europe increased from 16,000 to 17,500. Within that, Russia moved from 15,950 to 17,450, and Uzbekistan jumped from 9,000 to 10,250.
Any regions stay the same?
Yes. North America, which is just the Bahamas to DV, stayed at 20. Oceania also remained unchanged at 1,550.
And South America, Caribbean?
A small increase there, from 2,250 to 2,300.
So those increases, especially for Africa and Asia, mean more people get called for interviews in June, right?
Exactly. These June cutoff numbers dictate who is eligible for an interview and potentially a visa issuance during June. It suggests processing is moving along for those regions.
An important reminder for DV folks.
Your eligibility, your entitlement to that DV status, runs through September 30th, 2025. So there's still time, but these monthly cutoffs show the pace. We'll look forward to the July numbers next.
Definitely. Okay, before we wrap up, the bulletins usually have some other notes. Anything important there this time?
Just a couple of brief things. There's a note about the U.S. Government Employee Special Immigrant Visas, the SIVs, basically advising applicants to check directly with the relevant consular section for updates, especially considering the latest National Defense Authorization Act.
So direct contact is key there.
Yes, and the standard, but always important, reminder. The Bureau of Consular Affairs website, travel.state.gov, is your go-to source for the absolute latest on visa processing at embassies and consulates.
Always the official source. Okay, great. So let's recap this May versus June 2025 comparison. We saw some encouraging forward movement in final action dates for family categories F1, F2B, F3 for most countries.
But with Mexico and the Philippines as notable exceptions holding steady.
Right. Employment-based was more varied. We had that slight retrogression in EB1 for China and the bigger retrogression in EB3 other workers for most.
But also positive steps in EB2 and the main EB3 categories. And those EB5 set-asides stayed wide open, current.
And the diversity visa category saw some really significant jumps in the cutoffs for June, particularly for Africa and Asia.
Absolutely. It really drives home how vital it is for anyone in the immigration process to track these monthly bulletins closely.
It really does. Understanding these shifts helps you, manage expectations and plan for what's next.
Precisely. Give you a clearer picture, even if the picture changes month to month.
So on that note, here's something maybe to think about. With all these fluctuations we see month after month, What underlying factors do you think most heavily influence why these priority dates move or don't move? And maybe more practically, what are the best strategies applicants like you can use to stay truly informed and prepared during what can be a very long wait?
Good questions to ponder.
Definitely. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the Visa Bulletin changes.